And that's why I think it fits to the gallery, I think, the best at this point. But
is that because of scale?
Yeah.
And the facility just to put the glasses on and look at it?
Also that, yeah. And it's also because it's pretty vast, it's quite a big series of work, you know. It was 14 images here, and now I did 10 more in China. And you never have editorials so big normally, and also it's not such a big, how do you say, I don't put so much attention to clothes. I do in the way of they have to blend in with the environment, but it's not like, oh, here we have McQueen, here we have Versace. No, I would use even second-hand shops, you know, just to get the proper clothes for proper locations. So I think it's more, I try to get this effect as good as possible, and it's not, I'm not thinking so much into the fashion aspect.
So you bring other skills to it, but
yeah.
Overall, what would be your ideal means of showing it to the public? Would it be the gallery?
Yeah, I think the gallery would be the best, or some book. Something that people come and look for a bit longer and think about it, so it's not only a magazine that you flick through on a train and leave it on the seat, you know. At least, you know, a 3D magazine that it's like a collector's item, at least now, that you go through, you like it and you keep it so you can show to your friends when they come over for a drink or something.
But arguably also, I think, given the amount of money people spend, especially high-end brands, spend on commissioning architects to design their shops, especially the flagship shops, really spend a lot of money. You could argue that those shops are like galleries.
Yeah.
So to see this kind of work in there would not be out of place, would it?
No, definitely not.
You know, that kind of context. Or at the other end of the market, in the windows of River Island and shops like that, because they print on substrates where they can hang big flyers, massive size. So you could see that work in there. Well, I could imagine it in the right position. It could work very well.
Yeah, lots of people try to, you know, drag attention with 3D. You also had 3D in Dazed and Confused. And you have it, Steven Meisel did it for Vogue Italy and Playboy America, but these are all photographers. They are not 3D photographers. They just, I don't know, they have some help. They read a little article about 3D and try to do it, but they all really actually failed, you know, especially in Dazed and Confused, they didn't work at all. And Playboy, not to mention, they did everything what's in the book not to do. So it's like, and that's the problem, because then people think, oh, it's a shitty gimmick, it never works, it gives me headaches. Yeah, when you see a shitty photographers, well, good photographers doing a bad job.
Misapplying.
Yeah, totally. Just, they wanted to use it because it's popular, but they don't put any effort into doing it, you know, so I see this also as a big problem. It's the same thing as you mentioned before. You all know 3D, but you all know that it's shit. But it's not true, you know, if you do it the right way, it's really good actually.
So the right way being the right subject matter more than anything else?
Well, subject and the right technique.
Yeah, obviously.
Right,
you don't get the
printing.
technical element of
Yeah.
it. Very, very important.
So you know what you're doing actually.
Yeah.
It's not just using 2 cameras and shooting. Because as I mentioned before, it's lots of calculations, lots of mathematics. There are some German charts, you know, and as you know, Germans, they're really strict, and it's like millimeters.
So there's a lot of precision involved.
It's only precision, yeah. Now in China, we had 4 different techniques to shoot 3D. So when you came to location and you saw it, you choose which of the 3 techniques you use, you know, and I'm sure they have 1, because they didn't know how to use it and why, you know.
Do you think then that there's always a danger that the 3D technique gets in the way of what you're doing? Because if you're thinking about all that scientific and mathematical calculation and so on, is that getting in the way of actually shooting a picture? Do you feel that you embrace the formality? And obviously some are more clearly formal than others, but there's I feel a lot of formality in the way the models are posing. They're very careful. So do you think that is almost, I guess what I'm getting at, is it a straitjacket that you put on as a 3D photographer that makes you do certain things because it's hard to break out from it?
Well, on one side it is, yeah, because you have to bear in mind all these rules. But as I said, as a 3D photographer, you have to learn to think a bit differently. And then you can do it, you know, without any problems and limitations. But yeah, there is a bit straitjacket, you know, you can go really close. You can have like super close-ups if you don't have really, you know, specialized equipment to go, you know, really close. So, but on the other side, when you have everything, when you think through everything, then, you know, it's just another type of photography that you know how to do it, and it's not a problem. It's same things as a normal photography. If you don't know how to use shutter speed, aperture and flash, yeah, it's going to limit you, because you're going to use program or automatic function all the time. And it's same goes for 3D photography, actually.
So to get to this point here, where you've got this body of work, how much did you have to experiment before you thought, yeah, this concept I've got will actually work in 3D?
I did quite a lot of test shots, but I'm lucky that lots of time my friend helped me. This friend of mine, he's really super professional 3D photographer. He's doing this for about 10 years, and he's like a head of a 3D club in Slovenia, and he's really one of the best in the world, technical wise. So we are a really good team now, and he also went to China with me now, so he's doing all this calculation most of the time, so I can focus more to the creative part. So I tell him, look, I have this vision, I want to do it like that, and he says, yeah, it's good, just be careful that, you know, you're careful of this and this. And I said, yeah, of course, and, you know, so we double check everything before I start shooting.
That's interesting you say that, because what I'm thinking of is a documentary I saw, well, an interview as well, when Gregory Crewdson showed at the White Cube Gallery a couple of years, quite a few years ago now, and this American documentary came out about him, and you saw him at work, and the person working closest with him was his director of photography,
yeah,
because he did military with the Italian camera.
Yeah.
This guy was up on the gantry, and Crewdson was directing operations, much more like a movie set. Would you draw an analogy with that? Is that how you see it? So you're the creative aesthetic part, and this person, your co-collaborator, kind of scientific technical anchorage that allows you that freedom to direct models and get that end of it right.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, it's also much more time efficient, you know, because I don't have to take care of this, you know, assembling the fourth option of 3D camera gear in camera rig together. So he can do this, and I'm really focused. But I do, you know, I choose the locations, the models, the stylings and everything. I'm doing all the art direction, since he can, you know, think about all the technical aspect, and just, I know a lot about 3D because we're working close together for, well, quite some time now. But still, he's really the precise one, I'm more the impulsive one. And when you're impulsive, it's more likely to do more mistakes, you know. And he's like really, you know, calm, and he do the calculation, and I was like, come on Peter, let's go. And he's like, wait, we have to do it 1 millimeter more. And I said, okay. But it's a cool thing, because in the end I know it's going to work perfectly, and I won't disappoint anyone, as Steven Meisel did, or the guys for the ID, you know, because we have full service and printing and, you know, shooting.
So it's not anything that you would describe as casual, really?
No, not at all.